What's up again, everybody? Now that we're done talking through the basics of the game, and now that we're done covering the different heroes, let's talk about something a little bit different. These are my 5 favorite generic cards. The 5 cards that I am about to list out are the cards that I find most enjoyable or fun within the generic card pool. Now, I will say these are not the 5 most powerful generic cards. These are just the 5 generic cards that I enjoy the most. Some of them are high-powered cards, and some are not, and that's okay because this is my personal top 5 list of cards I enjoy in the generic card pool. Before we get started, if you like this content and you appreciate this channel for the content that it provides for Flesh and Blood or for any other game, please consider leaving a like on this video and subscribing to the channel, leaving a comment as well. All 3 of those things help grow the channel more and more. More exposure means more people seeing the games that you love, and hopefully those scenes grow. All right, on to the list. At number 5 is Snatch. Snatch is a generic action attack that costs 0 to play, so you don't have to pitch for it, and it can attack for either 2, 3, or 4. I'm showing you the red version, which is my favorite because it attacks for 4. The ability says if Snatch hits, draw a card. So why do I like this card so much? Well, it is a 0 cost attack, which means you pay nothing for it, you pitch nothing for it. In turn, you get the ability to attack for 4, and if it goes through, if your opponent chooses not to block, then you get card advantage, right? So it replaces itself in essence. And in a class like Ninja, where you're wanting to play 0 cost cards for either the ability to pitch them or just to be able to chain them together and cycle them, this makes a ton of sense, right? You can either pitch this and attack with your weapon, especially if you're pitching like the yellow version. You can attack with both of your weapons, or you can play this after you attack with both weapons, pitching something else as the 3rd attack in your combat chain, and your opponent has to think about whether or not you're holding even more stuff, because this was one of the cards that you had in your 4-card hand, assuming you had 4 cards, and then you pitched one thing. So you're down to 2 cards in hand, and they have to think, okay, he's attacked with both of his weapons, and now he's playing Snatch. I wonder if he has a combo card. And they go through this whole sort of dance of like, how do I block this? If I, don't block this all the way, then he's going to get another card back up to 3. It just creates a lot of problems. And the fact that it can cycle in a deck that wants to cycle in Ninja, and the class that wants to cycle, is just really good. In general, I love drawing cards, and this hits me right where I want it to. And that's why I put this as number 5. Number 4, you're about to start seeing a trend. Number 4 is Sink Below. This is also a 0 cost card. You can pitch it for all 3 colors, of course, because this is a common card. It's not one of those super rares or all those sorts of things. And this defends on red. It defends for 4. This is a generic defense reaction, so you want to look down there at the bottom right and see how much it defends for. The other ones defend for 2 or 3. But why I like this card is mainly because of that ability. You may put a card from your hand onto the bottom of your deck, and if you do, draw a card. This can work in every single class. Not only is it really, really good in Ninja, but really you can just put it in all of the classes and start using your Sink Belows to help cycle your hand and set up your hand for, big swing turns. If you have something that's waiting in the deck and you're just trying to get to it, like in Guardian, for example, if you're looking for Crippling Crush, then you can start pitching things from your hand to the bottom of your deck with Sink Belows, digging for more Sink Belows, or digging for that Crippling Crush. This also has really no limits on where it needs to be. This can totally be in your hand, and you can defend defense reaction wise from your hand, or if you're worried about the matchup, say you're playing against Guardian with Dominate, you can put this into your arsenal and use it from arsenal as well, just as easily. This one is also on my top 5 list because that art is so beautiful, especially if you see it in foil. The foil version of this is just amazing. So Sink Below, my number 4 pick for one of my favorite cards in the generic pool. Okay, next up at number 3 is Tome of Fane. This is our first high rarity card. This is a mythic card. It costs 1 to play. It is a generic action. It defends for 2, but you don't really want to defend with it. What you do want to do is play this so that you can draw 2 cards. If Thoma Fane is played from Arsenal, gain 1 health for each card in your hand. Now, the gaining 1 health thing is all well and good, but really you are here to draw 2 cards. This game is all about resource management, and one of the biggest resources that you're managing is your hand of cards. If everybody starts with 4 cards in hand and then has to use those to protect their life, or use those to deal damage. If you can have 6 cards, or in this case, playing this takes 1 away, so net total 5 cards, you are up 1 on your opponent, giving you more options on defending, giving you more options on attacking, putting you ahead because you're digging deeper into your deck sooner. This card is absolutely amazing. This is one of those cards that is extremely high power level. You will see this card in a ton of top lists across the board constructed tournament play. And I don't have it here just because of power level, but for me, I love drawing cards. Doesn't matter what card game I play, if there's a way for me to draw more cards and do more things, then I'm all about it. So archetypes in card games that allow me to load my hand up will always pull me to them more than anything else, and this allows you to do that with just about any class you want in Flesh and Blood. Thoma Fane is my number 3 favorite card. Okay, we're down to the last 2 cards, and my number 2 pick is Enlightened Strike. Enlightened Strike is a 0-cost generic action attack. It is a mythic card as well, so it only comes in the red variant. It attacks for 5, and it has this really sweet ability that says, as an additional cost to play Enlightened Strike, put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. So you can think of that as a cost, but you can also think of that as a way to further cycle through unneeded cards at the time so that you can get to the cards that you want to play more. It also says choose one. Either draw a card, or Enlightened Strike gains +2 attack, or Enlightened Strike gains go again. So the reason I like this card as my number 2 pick is because of the just extreme flexibility and the abundance of decision points that it gives you. I enjoy card games and strategy games because I like to try and outthink the problem or solve the puzzle. And cards that allow you to be flexible and use them in different ways always appeal to me, and this is exactly one of those cards. In the moment that I play this, do I need to draw a card? Or do I need to push extra damage? Or do I need to have go again and cycle something right after this? Those are the questions that this card can answer. And again, just like all of these other cards, this is generic, which means it can go into any deck. So the fact that you have access to Enlightened Strike and the flexibility that provides is just a really great design. This also gets bonus points just like Sink Below did because the art is sweet when you see this in foil. This thing is amazing in foil as well, so I will give this bonus points for that. So Snatch was my number 5 pick. Sink Below was my number 4 pick, Thoma Fane was number 3, Enlightened Strike was number 2, and my number 1 pick for favorite generic card is Remembrance. Remembrance is a 0-cost generic instant, which means you can play it at any point whenever priority is passed to you. And the ability on Remembrance says shuffle up to 3 action cards from your graveyard into your deck and then banish Remembrance. So why is Remembrance my number 3 card? Well, I'll tell you. I've already mentioned that I love cycling things. I've already mentioned that I love drawing cards. Now let me mention that I absolutely adore combos. The fact that this card allows you to do so many of those different things all in one package just makes me so happy. This is a super rare card, so it's only coming in this yellow variant, I should mention that. So you can only run 3 of these in a deck, but honestly this card is so powerful, if they had these in all 3 options, this would be like a 9F. This card is so powerful because it essentially allows you to play the game differently than you normally would. Normally, you'd look at your deck of cards and you'd say, these are the finite amount of resources that I have. But with Remembrance in your deck, or 3 Remembrances in your deck, you can look at your deck as if it had 9 extra cards. And not only 9 extra cards, but 9 extra good cards. So depending on your play style, this could make you more comfortable when you're defending. Your opponent attacks for something huge, you can block with cards from your hand that you may not normally want to block with because you know Remembrance is coming. You can play that down and shuffle those really powerful cards back into the deck, allowing you to see them later. You can also play more aggressively with this card. For example, going back to the Guardian Crippling Crush scenario, say you got Crippling Crush and you play it even though you know fairly well that your opponent has a generic defense reaction like Unmovable or Sink Below in their arsenal. Even if they end up blocking all of that Crippling Crush damage and using those resources to keep their life total up, you know that you can just play Remembrance, put that Crippling Crush back in your deck, and threaten it again and again. Flexible cards like these will generally always top my list because it pushes player skill rather than luck or good draws. So this is my number 1 generic card in Flesh and Blood. So there's my list of top 5 generics in the game so far. I'm curious about your list. If you've been playing Flesh and Blood a ton, hop down in the comments and leave me your top 5 generic cards. These can be in power level, They could be your favorites. Rank them however you wish. If you like this video, consider giving this video a like or subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a comment telling me what I should make videos about next. And as always, thanks for watching.